Hey everyone, today I want to share a few tips on how to move homes because I've actually moved a weirdly high number of times. I think in the past 8 years I've moved about 7 times. I could be wrong about that, it might be even more. But I've moved a lot and I've learned a lot about specific strategies, approaches you can use to make the moving process go much more smoothly, as well as strategies that you can take advantage of the moving process to move a little bit closer to minimalism. Hi, if you're new to this channel, my name is Aylin, and if you're interested in videos on simple living, minimalism, building an empowering mindset, then hit the subscribe button below. It actually supports me, so if you're willing to do that, I'd appreciate it. And if you end up liking this video, hit the thumbs up button. So like I've said, I've moved a lot. I've done short moves across town. I've done moves across the country. So I have a lot of experience in moving, and I figure while it's still fresh, before I settle into our first house, I want to share some tips about what I've learned through the process of moving. And let me say, I think moving is one of the most miserable things we can do. It's always more work than we think it'll be. And there always comes this moment where I'm sitting in the middle of boxes and I'm just like, oh, totally overwhelmed. And so I want to give some ideas for what you can do to reduce the stress around moving, to make it go more smoothly, and also give you ideas for how you can take advantage of moving in perhaps your journey towards minimalism if that's something you're pursuing. So my number one piece of advice is to start packing and preparing early. The first reason for this is just that if you're able to start early, then you can break down the packing process into smaller pieces and it's simply less overwhelming. By just doing a little bit every day, it just becomes less overwhelming and less of kind of this big mountain to climb over. Like it just makes it feel more doable, and it is more doable. But on top of that, it makes it way more likely that you can actually pack very intentionally and in the exact way you want to. So you can actually use that period of going through all your stuff to declutter some items if you'd like to reduce the number of items that you have. I mean, how often do you have the chance to go through all your stuff where you're kind of forced to go through all your belongings? It's a great chance to really downsize your items and just hone down your belongings that much more. Starting to pack and plan early will also just reduce the likelihood that there's going to be that moment of panic near the end, those late nights near the end where you're packing things up or where you're just throwing things in boxes without any rhyme or reason or organization. By starting early, you can be really intentional about your packing and where you're placing things. As part of this, I think it's important to set your move date early so that you have that point that you need to be ready for and you're preparing for it weeks in advance. Planning early will also increase the likelihood that you'll get all the packing supplies you need, and it might also increase the likelihood that you'll be able to get more sustainable packing options like borrowing boxes from friends or from local stores. Overall, packing and planning the move early is just going to make the entire process less stressful. My second piece of advice actually kind of comes out of Marie Kondo's book in reference to decluttering, where she talks about taking everything in a given category, putting it in one place and decluttering from there. I think you should do that with packing. So let me explain this. Basically, for example, if you have numerous bathrooms in your home, take all the stuff from both bathrooms and bring it together so that you can really see everything you have in that particular category, because that's going to both help with your organization as far as packing and really packing in a way that allows you on the other end to know where things are. Like, you know, when you're moved and you're looking for things in boxes and you can't find your toothbrush, that sort of thing. So keeping everything in a category when you pack just makes it easier on both ends as far as organization, but it also provides the opportunity to declutter, because when you bring everything in a category together, like Marie Kondo kind of alludes to, it makes it apparent what items really should go, because you realize, wow, I didn't know I had 3 bottles of this or that, and then you're able to declutter them. Also, forgive if you can hear the birds. I think it's early springtime, but it is actually kind of nice hearing birds in the background. The next piece of advice is to not go at this alone. Specifically, if you can swing it, I highly recommend just breaking down and hiring some movers because they are professionals, they know what they're doing, and especially if you check reviews out and hire movers that are just really efficient, they can get a lot done in a really short period of time and just greatly reduce the headache of moving. And even if you're on a tight budget, only hiring movers for like a couple hours can make a big dent in the moving day process. Like even if you only hire them for 2 hours to pack the truck, that's going to be a huge weight off of your shoulders. And now if you're on a really tight budget, I recommend that you at least get a lot of friends to help you out, because if it's just 1 or 2 friends, it can get really overwhelming. I once did a move where I helped a friend where there were like 20 of us helping and we had this assembly line and it just made it go so easy. So my overall point is don't try to do this alone. Moving is hard and it's good to get some support. But that being said, you don't want to lean on any one friend too much. So make sure that there's a good support system, whether it be movers or a good number of friends. Of course, this might look a little different in a current COVID world, but I'm talking also more about like post-COVID in any moves that you might have then. The next piece of advice is to practice some self-compassion and unpack slowly. Take your time. Use it as another opportunity to declutter on the other end, because sometimes decluttering does take a few times. And so really a move process forces you to go through all your stuff 2 times. So take advantage of it and declutter as you unpack as well as packing. Also, taking your time to unpack will allow you to be very intentional about where you place things in your new home, and it will allow you to find a specific spot for each item that you have. My last piece of advice is to use the move as an opportunity to form new habits in the new space. So if you've noticed there's some item that you tend to always leave out or an area that tends to get messy, use this new space as an opportunity to reset and really be mindful about putting things away and in their place. For example, in this move, I'm talking a lot about toothbrushes in this video, but I tend to happen to leave my toothbrush on the sink in our bathroom historically, but I'm really working hard to put it below in the cabinet once I've moved. And somehow by being in a new space, it's an additional cue to me to remind me to be mindful about where I'm putting my toothbrush. But that principle can be applied to a lot of different things. And I also think because moving is often exciting and you're excited about your new space, this is a time where you're naturally going to have more motivation to be neater and to be taking care of your home. So take advantage of it and try to be very mindful and aware whenever you're moving things around. When you leave a room, take a look around, check how it looks, and if there's anything you could bring with you to put away. If you get into bad habits early on in your new space, it's going to be harder to break. So take this as an opportunity to cultivate a new, light, airy space that you feel very comfortable in and that is low stress for you. So that's all I have for you today, but I hope you found this helpful. And even if you're not moving, you can keep this in mind for future moves. And I definitely think there are probably pieces of this that also just apply for general decluttering and trying to move towards minimalism. So again, if you're willing, hit the subscribe button below, hit the thumbs up button if you ended up liking this video. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.